Hello and welcome to Radical Love Live, where we explore spirituality outside the boxes. I'm Mark Dilcom, one of the co-creators of the program. This is our third live event and our very first online. Through the magic of technology, today's program is coming to you from Northern California, New York City, and Paris. And we thank you in advance for your patience as we explore the possibilities of this digital program. The theme for today's episode is connection and unity, and we are thrilled to welcome Dr. Rita Sharma and Dr. Kamal Abu Shamshaya, two of the renowned thought leaders from the Graduate Theological Union, as well as our artist Rana Gargani, Francois Sadlan, Murtahid Rodfar, and Mohsen Fazeli, who are performing traditional music and dance during this edition of Radical Love Live.
Hi, I'm Kelly Wilson. I'm one of the co-creators of Radical Love Live. For more information on our presenters and performers, please download the digital program on our website at radicallove.live. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, please feel free to comment on the program and pose questions to our presenters and performers. If we don't address your questions here, keep an eye out for our follow-up podcast where we will address your questions. To begin today's program, we invite Sufi dancer Rana Gargani and acclaimed singer Francois Atlan as they lead us off with a traditional Sufi dance inspired by the dance of the whirling dervishes, paired with a traditional Hebrew song of Shabbat, with lyrics that thank God for giving us the Sabbath pause and an invitation to receive the Spirit.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Shalom, Malach Elyon, Mimelech, Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Rachamim, Mimelech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avraham Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de ahora. Avraham Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de ahora. Barjuni de Shalom, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מלאכי רחמים, מי מלך מלכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, בוחר לשלום, מלאכי רחמים, מלאכי עליון, מלאכי המלאכים, מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בוחר לשלום, בוחר לשלום, 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 בוחר לשלום, בוחר לשלום, בוחר לשלום, לשלום, ברכו לי לשלום, ברכו לי לשלום, ברכו לי לשלום, שלום עליכם, מלאכי המלאכים, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בוחר לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכו לי לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום, שלום, סלאם, סלאם עליכום, סלאם עליכום, שלום, שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום, 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 שלום עליכם, ملخ اليوم ملخ اليوم ملخ اليوم برخوني لشالوم 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 برخوری لشالوم ملخ اليوم ملخ اليوم ملخ
Thank you, Rana, and thank you, Francois, for that beautiful and moving experience that calls our attention to the ever-present, unchanging, universal divine. Our theme for this event is connection and unity, and during our time together, I hope you will find these powerful words embodied in the conversations, the music and dancing, and finally in the meditation practice that concludes our time together. It is both truly awesome and heartbreaking that we find ourselves bound together in this wild, unexpected experience. It seems nothing is untouched and at the risk of being permanently altered from this global pandemic. Yet the thirst for life continues as we discover new and innovative ways to reconnect, resurrect, and refuse to be kept in despair. These words exist at the root of my Christian faith, along with the most powerful word of all, hope. It is amazing to me that we even have this technology to make this event happen. But even more amazing is our audacious yearning to harness it so kindred spirits can come together across multiple time zones and many thousands of miles just so that we can celebrate what we each know to be the divine. So here we are today together, maybe not physically, but most definitely spiritually, in unity, sharing our human experiences as the spiritual beings we are. I'm happy you're here.
Thank you, Mark, for the insightful perspective. My camera is frozen slightly, but I'm going to keep on talking. There we go. Thank you, technology. As we're hearing everywhere, from news headlines to online church sermons to TV ads for every product imaginable, these are unusual times, tough times, challenging times, and that in these times, connection is more important than ever. That may sound trite in an ad for a car or a telephone company, but ultimately it is true. For the world to find a healing path forward, connection and unity have never been more important. Close to home, it might mean finding ways for someone who is separated from their faith community to maintain those vital links with their tradition, such as using technology like this. It might mean listening to and talking to those who are feeling isolated and longing for greater meaning. The need for connection and unity is also essential to the larger community. It's tempting to look at a problem like this pandemic from a perspective of how it affects my community or how it affects my nation, even as some of our leaders talk about what this politician or party or nation or organization did or did not do that got us where we are. But the simple fact is, this is a worldwide human problem, which is so much bigger than our tribal divisions. Actively seeking common values and committing ourselves to cooperation, even with those with whom we differ, are the keys to working effectively together to do good and promote healing in the world, locally and globally. For today's program, we are pleased to welcome two esteemed thought leaders who are joining us from an institution that is committed to fostering mutual understanding about and between different wisdom traditions with a goal of leading transformational change in the world. We at Radical Love Live are grateful for the opportunity to partner with the Graduate Theological Union of Berkeley, California. The GTU is one of the world's most comprehensive centers for graduate study of religion and theology, and a leading destination for interreligious life, learning, and leadership. The GTU invites scholars from a wide range of spiritual and philosophical perspectives to explore the world's great religions and wisdom traditions in ancient and contemporary contexts. You can learn more about the GTU and the important work of its faculty, students, and alumni by visiting them online at gtu.edu, where we also invite you to explore their recently launched series, Spiritual Care and Ethical Leadership for Our Times. Much like this episode, this series from the GTU brings together a wide range of interreligious and interdisciplinary perspectives, exploring the meaning of spiritual care, ethics, and leadership in light of the coronavirus pandemic, and offers resources for fostering community and resilience. Next, we are pleased to welcome our special guests from the GTU and hear their perspectives on connection and unity. Our first speaker is Dr. Rita Sharma, followed by Dr. Kamal Abu Shamsia. Dr. Sharma is the Director and Associate Professor of the Program in Dharma Studies, Core Doctoral Faculty, Chair of the Theological and Ethics Department, and co-chair of the Sustainability 360 Initiative at the GTU. Her interreligious and interdisciplinary work at the GTU includes work in theology and science, ecology and world religions, and sustainability studies. Dr. Abu Shamsia received his PhD in practical theology at the GTU, where he currently serves as the director of the newly created Interreligious Chaplaincy Program and teaches practical theology. To learn more about our esteemed guests and their respective accomplishments, visit our website at radicallove.live and click on the digital program link, or visit GTU online at gtu.edu. Now we'd like to welcome Dr. Rita Sharma.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Kelly and Mark. Thank you for all the work you've been doing. And it's an honor and a delight to be here. I want to talk first about the context of our gathering, and that is, of course, the coronavirus and the global pandemic. I will talk about the ways in which my community has been dealing with it, but also in terms of how we as the human community can better access our own resources, our own interior resources for this engagement. So permit me to share my screen for a moment. I will say that the Hindu community is more than 1 billion people. The vast majority may be in India, but it's also the largest diaspora in the world. So Indian diaspora, 17 million people scattered across the globe, and of them, the majority are Hindu. So Hindus find themselves all across every continent without the spiritual care, without the community support, and without many of the resources which our grandfathers or great-grandfathers, our ancestors had access to. I was just in conversation with the brand new, just created Hindu Chaplaincy Association of North America. And that is the beginning of an attempt to connect with the broader community, with our Christian and Jewish and Muslim and Buddhist and other neighbors and friends towards a uniquely North American type of spiritual care that chaplaincy is. But in the meantime, we cannot just be seeing bereft. We cannot just be without any of our resources. So as a result, we have to look at how this pandemic is affecting the global community, but I'm going to speak about how it's affecting my community in that we have a very large number, over 100,000 people who are in healthcare. And because they're in healthcare, they're on the front lines of medicine, and they are dealing with, and we're hearing an ambulance as I speak, and we're dealing with this on a major basis. So we start with this concept of insights in a time of pandemic, but from the viewpoint of experiential, embodied, and enlightened spirituality. I want to begin with the words of a very famous, internationally known Hindu philosopher and theologian, Sri Aurobindo, 20th century. And he wrote in his book, The Life Divine, "At present, humanity is undergoing an evolutionary crisis in which is concealed a choice of its destiny. For a stage has been reached in which the human mind has achieved in certain directions an enormous development, while in others it stands arrested and bewildered and can no longer find its way." Nearly a century after Sri Aurobindo wrote these prophetic words, we find ourselves arrested in development at a potentially transformative moment. As a result, we need to think about this in a much more profound way. So as I was saying, we have a very large number of medical students, doctors, and residents across America, and they are suffering. The co-founder and president of the American Association of this group of people says that it's a bad time for all of us, but he speaks of his son and how his son is endangered and he can only communicate by phone. These are the frontline workers in healthcare, and 20% of them are Hindu. But even in the midst of this darkness, we access embodied experiential praxis. This praxis not only communicates our prayers and aspirations to the divine, not only connects us with our broader community, but also allows for an embodied experience of sensoriality in order to transcend the fear and anxiety that is now proceeding into us from our senses. So it is a matter of Hindu practices for using the senses to transcend the senses. Here we have a woman blowing a conch. These sounds, sights, scents, all of this alters our perception, alters our neurobiology, and allows for an integrated sense of being, including our embodiment, our spirit, and our intellect. The use of the senses is associated with the 5 elements, is associated with earth and water and wind and fire and air, and all of this is represented and symbolized by tactile elements, and they're also analogized to our five senses. So the sense of touch in the soft, cool feel of sandalwood paste with which we anoint ourselves in the morning after prayer, in the warmth of the lamp, in the fragrance of the incense, in the sight of the flowers with which our altars are adorned. All of this is part of the healing that we experience and that we share with the broader community. I have shared these worship ceremonies, which are called pujas, not only with my students, but with the broader community. Everyone is always welcome. But right now, we are bereft because we are not able to connect this with communion with the community. And to see what you're seeing, the heat of a lamp, the fragrance of flowers, the touch of all of these ingredients on our fingertips is not available through Zoom and Skype. And so it has to become once again what it has been for centuries, that is also not just a religion of community and congregation, but a religion of peace and interiority within the altar of our own homes. And finally, we have a very strong foundation in meditation and contemplative practices, whether it is the chanting of sacred scripture or the following of our breath or the mindful contemplation of our sensoriality, feelings, emotions. All of this is part of the integral world that is yoga. All of this has also been shared by the Hindu world with the greater community globally. What we often do in times of crisis and in times of bereavement is we use bodies of water to heal ourselves. And one of the things we do is something that many are doing right now, but without that body of water to do it in. And that is using an organic thing, like in this case, we have a large leaf on which is placed the flowers that represent the earth, the water that represents the world's oceans and waterways, a little tiny lamp, an organic lamp made of clay that melts in the water biodegradably, that represents energy, heat, warmth, light, the luminosity of the divine, and finally, the scent of incense, which is an offering of fragrance. And all of these are an offering of our five senses in a river that flows, and it flows fully and completely towards where we wish it to go, which is towards divine communion. I will leave you with a chant that is a blessing to all people. It means, may all experience health, may all experience serenity, may all experience completeness and fulfillment, and may all experience auspiciousness. Om Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May there be peace in all three realms of our being. I now want to invite you to welcome my colleague and friend, Professor Abu Shamsieh of the Graduate Theological Union, where he is director of the Interreligious Chaplaincy Program. Welcome, Kamal.
Thank you, Rita, and thank you for Mark and Kelly. Thank you for everyone who made this program possible. I will be brief in my opening remarks so we can have more of the questions and answers. But indeed, this time is a special time. I greet you first with the universal greetings of Islam, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon each one of you. This is the universal greetings of all the prophets. As Muslims are celebrating and observing the month of Ramadan for this year, which started on Friday, this is a time for transformation. It's a journey, it's an experience that every single one of us will have with the divine, with God, as well as we experience that as a community. Considering the meaning of Ramadan, it comes at a great time with the great sheltering that we're in because of the coronavirus. To begin with, the meaning of Ramadan comes from the Arabic word of Ramadan, which the soaring heat, which meant that the heat of the hunger will purify the individual. So we seek today to observe and abstain from material elements like food, so we can feel the hunger and feel with those who don't have. So it's a test to give up things otherwise are allowed for you to have for a greater cause, for the greater good, which is to get closer to God and to get closer to the creation of God. So it's an intentional belief embodied in action, where one person will put their belief to test and their test to action and demonstrate that. At the same time, our celebration of the month of Ramadan, and similar to my colleague, Dr. Sherma, if I can share some of the screens about what it means to worship as a Muslim during a month of Ramadan. We look at, for example, the prayers and prayer. When we look at communities worshiping together at an Islamic center, we look at what's happening today. For example, when we visit the Grand Mosque in Mecca, and we look at the pilgrimage, we look at the millions of people who share today. They go around worshiping, and in reflections year-round, this scene will be seen. But today, because of the coronavirus, the scene is completely different. For the first time in history, the mosque is closed down. For the first time of history, the circumventing around the Kaaba or the house of God is no longer available. When we look at the community gathering every single day for the meal, a break of the fast, a communal sharing, everyone is the same, everyone is sitting around the same time of sundown. We look at it today that people are at their homes. Yet with that, there is the hope. There is the hope that that mosque, that imam who is in Turkey today, waiting for the community to come back, we as a community, we attach to hope. Hope that God will deliver us from this illness, God will deliver us from this pandemic, and will emerge more resilient community because of the presence of God in our lives.
Thank you so much, Kamal and Rita both, for these powerful insights. We really look forward to our discussion after the next segment. And now we would like to invite Sufi dancer Rana Gorgani, accompanied by Mirtoid Radfar, playing a traditional instrument called the tanbur. The song is called Sahari, which is a traditional song played very early in the morning to awaken the community, particularly in the time of Ramadan, to start the day and eat a meal before dawn, before they begin their feast. Thank you, Rana and Mertohid, for that beautiful piece. I do also want to mention in my introduction for that piece, I misspoke slightly. The meal that is eaten in the morning is before the fast, not as I spoke, the feast. And as we're talking today about embodied practice, I definitely want to make sure that we get that right, because this is definitely a time of fasting for many of us from different traditions, whether it's those of us that gave up a lot more for Lent this year than they ever imagined they would, to those that practice other traditions as well. So apologize for misspeaking. I now would like to invite Rita and Kamal back for our discussion.
Rana and Mutahid, that was beautiful. Thank you. As we get into some discussions here, I'm going to lead off with a question. This is to both Rita and to Kamal for us to discuss. And so the question is, as we talk about this moment in history, our ability to unite around a common cause seems critical to making it through this crisis. What are some of the ways that people with different backgrounds, perspectives, or traditions can find common ground in support of the greater good?
I'll go first because Kamal's hinting at me to do so. The way I look at it, and I'm also a minister of my tradition. I'm a Acharya of a denomination, so I do end up with the responsibility for spiritual care for many people. I'm also a teacher, a professor. There are students who are hurting at this time. But what I've found through all of these years of experience, where I've also been a mindfulness teacher in a certain prison context, and everywhere I see the same thing. We don't enjoy exactly the same things. You and I will have a different taste in movies or dance or music or food or travel, literature, everything. So we don't smile at the same things. We don't laugh at the same things. We don't get joy from the same things, but we hurt the same. We bleed the same. We cry the same tears. In pain and suffering, we are united. That is where the divine meets us, in that baseline place of pain and suffering. In the tradition that I come from, in my lineage of my teacher, suffering is not something that we try to escape. Suffering is what we use as a path to the divine, as a portal to the divine. Because it is not when we're in the midst of a party with really good old Dom Perignon that we think of God or the divine or ultimate reality. It is in the midst of death and disaster and disease and despair that we think of the ultimate. Of times like this is when we are forced to experience practices of interiority, of contemplative and reflective thought and embodied experience. And here in this moment, we are united, whether we know or not, in our suffering and in our yearning for love and for touch and for community.
Thank you, Dr. Sherma. Yes, indeed. We are joined with the pain. At the same time, we are joined with the love and universal values and ethics that we all share. So this is, for example, not the time for theological disagreements of who's right and who's wrong, and to debate of who will be going to heaven and who will be left out. This is a time to build on common values of peace within, common values of peace with the creation, peace with the environment around us, to not just to believe in it, but to act in it at the same time. So this is the time where we dig deeper into our traditions and we affirm. We don't have to agree on the traditions and which one is more authentic or which one is more sound, but we have to affirm that this diversity, this different paths towards God are valid in the sense when people are doing what they're supposed to do. Care for the environment, care for themselves, establish goodness. That's from a theoretical point of view. From a practical point of view, is belief is one thing and acting on it is something else. We all have the value of hospitality. What does it mean at this time, at this moment of COVID-19, is to care for those who don't have the resources. what it means to be stewards for the environment is, alas, we have free air, that is clean air that we can breathe. So we have to be grateful to Allah. We have to be grateful to God to give us this moment of stillness. Yes, it hurts, but this is a moment of reflection to see what are we doing wrong. So it is about responsibility in how we live our lives. It's not enough to be living, it's how you lived your life. And this is where our traditions can be a source of inspiration, not just for those who believe in that tradition, but for humanity at large.
Both beautiful responses. Thank you very much, Rita and Kamal. Kelly?
Well, wanted to ask about community. For many, their spirituality is not just about a connection with the divine, but also a connection with community. And right now, many of those community ties are disrupted, are broken. As Dr. Sharma talked about, we can't do a lot of these embodied rituals by Zoom. But wanted to ask at this time, what are some ways that spiritual practitioners or seekers can stay connected with their communities?
Well, to begin with, my understanding of rituals and my understanding of approach to faith is individual. It is an individual personal relationship with God established through the prayers. Even at the time when we are praying in congregation, we are connecting with God individually. Yes, we have been deprived from the common physical place. It has been replaced by the digital domain, which does not offer the same warmth at the same time. We have been taken away by the distractions that we lead in our lives from our families. So we come together as one family today to pray together, to eat together, to laugh together. And to be honest with you, we have been bombarded with a lot of Zoom. So we appreciate a little bit toning down of the Zoom digital infection that we have, and to have a moment of reflection, to go out. And I'm so grateful that we can go out for a walk, and that never stopped. So to go out to nature and to have a spiritual walk with your family, greeting your neighbors from far. Yes, we cannot touch, we cannot hug, but you can give a wave, a smile in Islam is a form of charity. So let's dispense this charity more often. Thank you.
I think that Kamal is completely right in that we are overburdened with a lot more exposure on online fora, but at the same time, I'm grateful for online fora such as Zoom and others, because without that, we wouldn't actually even have the community that we have today. So liturgy can be done online. Recitation of text together can be done online. And of course, classes in sacred texts and so forth can be done online. Theological discourses can be done online. Embodied praxis is not well transmitted. Today we saw beautiful dance and music that, of course, is being performed for us, and we are blessed. But when we think of embodied praxis, like I showed when I screen shared, that involve all of the senses together in liturgy, this cannot be done online. So the way I look at it is, since I am co-chair of Sustainability 360, and we have ongoing major sustainability conferences, books, and lectures, and all sorts of events, I'm just going to read from my forthcoming book, just one paragraph, and that is that the current pandemic as well as climate catastrophe and mass extinctions and social inequity, which we see in front of our eyes in American streets, have one common link: the malrelationship of civilization to the biosphere. Whether it is trade in wild animals causing the transference of zoonotic diseases, the lack of urgency in transitioning to renewables, or the utter absence of care and compassion for humans who are suffering, or species disappearing forever, living without telos, living without leading and living without a higher purpose, both for our individual lives, our communities, for our nation, and the world, is going to render life on Earth untenable. Or we will transform ourselves to live in congruity with a higher purpose and find the way back to an integral relationship with the ecosphere and our brethren, both human and other than human. There is no third option.
Thank you, Rita. And thank you, Kamal. I'm going to follow up with the question that Kelly asked and take this in just a little bit of a different direction, back both to you. We're in this new time, this different time, and people have to rethink their practices that we all hold and our traditions. And we see this separation that we have. What potentially do you see, or have you thought about what our respective traditions might look like in this uncharted territory we find ourselves?
One of the most challenges that we all face, I used to be a hospital chaplain, and most of the time tend to those who are dying. One of the most challenging today is to see someone who's dying alone and not being able to help them. For all communities, this is the most difficult part of transformation, welcoming life and bidding farewell to life. And I would like to send a shout out for our chaplains who are working in the front lines, who are today mourn that inability to be with their patients who are COVID-19 positive patients. When families are unable to be with them, when the caregivers are unable to be with them, yes, we do have telechaplaincy, yes, we have a phone line, but you're unable to touch, you're unable to take their hand and literally to let go so they can be with God. That is a very difficult moment for every community, every faith community out there. And I would join in a heartfelt condolences and thoughts to all the families who lost a loved one and those families who are unable to be with their loved ones at this time. That is a challenge for all of us, how we move forward. Yes, we have moved into an area of virtual funerals, and we managed to compensate by having 10 people or less, depending on what we can allow, and everybody else watching from a distance. Yet there is the power of presence that is lost. The power of presence of the human being, the energy that we transfer, the love that we transmit to one another, that is lost. Yet let's look at it from a positive way. God is there, whether we are seeing or not, whether we are there or not. God has been always there, and that is the hope for us. So as we lose, we gain. As we lose that ability to connect, we connect at a greater level with God. And that is some ways that we comfort ourselves and we comfort others at the time that we mourn the inability to do the work that we've been called to do.
I can't agree with you more, Kamal. I think that as we start the new efforts in chaplaincy, interreligious chaplaincy at the GTU, it's the first chaplaincy that is offering a Hindu track. So this would be the first time you would have Hindu chaplaincy in North America in an accredited institution. So what I'm seeing in, I've been on Zoom with a lot of colleagues who are working towards an expanded interreligious chaplaincy that includes our minority traditions. And what I'm seeing is that since we can no longer take that power of presence, as Kamal said, for granted, there is an effort to make this option, the option to connect via electronic means, and the option to create community across the nation in partnership with and collaboration with our friends of other religions and other wisdom traditions who wish to help those in need, whether in hospitals or universities, prisons, military, everywhere, but in collaboration, in cooperation. And I do think that this is a time where many believe that we're going to shrink into isolation more and more because of it. And my hope and aspiration is that we push to move into communion, community, and cooperation instead.
Thank you so much for these really moving insights into what's going on right now. This sort of leads into the next question. This is very broad, so you can either go very broad or keep it very, very specific. Is, you know, a crisis like this can cause a lot of dynamic changes in people's beliefs. People can lean very heavily on their tradition, or in some cases they may have cause for doubt or wonder as they try to seek the divine role in this. And we wanted to talk about what are the challenges and opportunities for spiritual caregiving at a time like this.
Thank you, Kelly. We already touched upon some of the challenges of spiritual caregiving by being unable to be there, yet we are all invited at this time as a time of reflection. If we are to answer one question, what are our priorities in life right now? So this message that I would like to send to everyone to sort our priorities straight. This is a time to rethink what we have. At a time when we lost everything, all of our freedoms have been taken away from us. Not even a superpower can do that. I look at this work as a word of destination for all of us to come back to our senses, to be human again, to be ethical humans, to look at where we have gone wrong. How can we live our beliefs, whether be it doing God's work on earth, being a representative of God, caring for God's creatures, caring for ourselves. This is a time for all of us to be asking these questions. Let's connect back to the source of all being. Let's connect back to the Supreme, and at a time also to show gratefulness. Yes, gratefulness in the face of tremendous loss, because gratefulness is like love. When we are grateful to God, it's unconditional. To those challenges, loss of life, yet at the same time, we look at the rebirth. We are in the spring, we're surrounded by a sign of God that life will continue, will emerge better. It depends on what are we doing and what we will be doing as human beings. And this is a personal challenge, a communal challenge. It is a challenge for our country and the world to act responsibly.
Yes, and this responsible action involves creating a stronger, more resilient self first. And I cannot emphasize this enough that for us to be traumatized, be psychologically weakened by all of these processes, maybe physically and immunologically weakened, and then go out there and try to help others is it's not the most optimal use of our love and generosity. It's far more important, just as we say on the airplanes, to buckle your own seatbelt before you can help others, is to heal ourselves. And the wonderful thing about our various religious traditions is that there are a very large number and type of practices of interiority which can heal in a profound and transformative manner. And I just am in the midst of editing a series of books on contemplative practices within different religions. And it helps me to realize when I'm doing this that these are practices that are enormous psychological, neurobiological resources that can be helpful, as medical studies have shown, that can be helpful to personal healing, personal transformation, and physical, medical, biological, and internal spiritual resilience. Once we get to that point, we will be far better stewards of each other and of this creation.
Beautifully said, Rita. Thank you so much. And Kamal, thank you also for answering that question. Kelly and I have prepared a question that was built around hope, but you beat us to it, and it's a wonderful thing. I think our takeaway from both of your responses just now is that you're both very hopeful. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience that's watching about a message that you would like to leave with them? Rita?
I would definitely like to leave one message behind, and that is connect with the wilderness, connect with the earth. Stand in the sight of vast spaces and see the smallness of yourself. Stand in front of the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic and see the breakers on the shore and feel like the tiny thing that you are. And in the midst of that, see the glory and majesty of creation, and know that you are no tiny thing, that within you are part of that glory of creation. Be part of it.
And my final note is, as we recognize our weakness, our inability to respond, whether be it collectively or personally, I would like to affirm that there is a lot of strength in this vulnerability. It's humbles ourselves, it's humbling of our egos. This is a time where we put and invite the trust to be with God and to say, as a community, we're entrusting you in our affairs. And for me as a Muslim, my prayers always, if there is anything good left in this life, to give it to me. And if it's not, you're the best companion to be with. So while our life here on earth is very short, we look for an eternal bliss. And that is something we embody, that's something we pray for. Husn al-Khatima, a good, beautiful ending. Our hope that we live a life that is ethical and a life that is compatible with the faith and with the teachings that we have adopted and we brought up with, and that will be for the goodness of humanity.
Thank you so much for these really important messages and ideas. And the inspiring thoughts that can carry people forward as we seek our spirituality in the midst of this crisis. And thank you so much for taking this time for a lively discussion. We did get a couple questions on the newsfeed, so we'll make sure that we follow up in our follow-up podcast to make sure that we talk about some of the questions from the audience. Now what we would like to do is welcome back Rana Gorgani, who will be accompanied by Mozen Fazeli on the tambour and the singing of Francoise Adlan. They're going to lead us in the spiritual practice segment of the program. Rana is going to teach us about the key aspects of Sufi dance, and we'll invite everyone watching from home to join in as we move and meditate together. Welcome back, Rana.
From Mark and Kelly that invite us to join this event. We are very pleased to be part of this meeting around spirituality, art, music, and what link each other even in these very difficult times. Before continuing in English, I would like to say some words in French. Bonsoir à tous, merci d'être présents, merci infiniment d'être là pour cet événement à distance, certes, mais nos cœurs sont liés et j'attends impatiemment, nous attendons tous, nous artistes, de vous revoir et de partager avec vous la musique, la danse, la spiritualité. Donc, merci infiniment. So, I would like to talk a little bit about Sufi dance. Sufi dance is called originally Samo. Samo is an Arabic word which means listening, listening to the sound, listening to what comes inside us. So the music has a very big and important part for this practice, because music, we say that in Sufism, that music is the road that leads us, that brings us to the divine. Also, Sufi dance is connected, is related with the cosmos. I do the dance, I do the whirling on the left side, the side of the earth, which is whirling around the sun. So this is also a very important part of this practice. About my movement, I cross my arm like this, which means unity, the idea of death and life, and the eternal beginning, the eternal rebirth. You can see also when I put both of my hands up, looking at the sky, receiving the light, a tribute to the sun, a tribute to the divine. This position, the right hand looking at the sky and the left hand at the earth, which is the most famous and the most popular gesture of dervish dance. And the meaning is everything I receive goes through my heart to be given again. I don't keep anything to myself. I give everything back to the world. This is also a very important symbol because it means that each human being, each human on this earth is there for a purpose. So if I am here, it's because I have something to give. And what I have to give doesn't have to be material, doesn't have to be a big action, but just the fact that I'm here, the fact I am breathing, the fact I receive the sound, the fact I am able to express myself is a gift. So each human is important, and any of my action, even small action, or even my thoughts have a consequence in this world. Also, I put both of my hands on my heart, listening to the sound, listening to the beat of my heart. This is the idea that the sound of my heart is showing me that the divine is in me. is the beat of my heart. It reminds me that the divine is inside me and I can feel it inside me. I don't have to see it. I don't have to look for it because it's already in myself. I put both of my hands in front of me. This is the idea of the sacred book. This is also the idea of a gift, the gift of God. And putting my hand like this in front of me means I'm ready to give. And because I am ready to give, I am ready to receive. Thank you so much for listening to this explanation. And before continuing, I'm very glad to welcome Mohsen Fazeli. He will play a piece of Persian music, Persian classic music, and then we continue all together. Thank you very much. To this music, and I hope you could all feel the emotion in this music And now I will suggest a meditation, but a dance meditation. And first, I would like to explain to you the movement, and then we will do it on the music and on the voice of my friend Françoise Atlan. Very simple movement. First, we will start with cross hands on our chest. First left, then right. And we will open our arm like this, looking at the sky. From this position, we put one hand on our heart and the second one, and we take time to listen to the beat of our heart. From this position, we go like this. We put both of our hands in front of our chest, and I remind you this position means the action of giving, the gift of the divine, giving and receiving. And then another time, we cross our arm and we can hug ourselves with a lot of strong. Let's be strong, let's hug yourself, especially in this time that we would like to hug people that we love, but it's difficult, but we can still hug and give affection to ourselves and think about all the people that we love. So I do it again. Open your arm, open it and receive the light to the sun, and try to have your arm as big as possible. Then from this position, I put my hands on my heart. In front of me, the gift of the divine, and then I hug myself, I cross. Another time, open. Take the time to listen to the beat of your heart, the gift, and I cross again. So let's do it all together with the music. You can go, you don't have to follow me. It's not a choreography. Just listen to the music and do the movements. You can be faster than me, you can be slower than me. It doesn't matter. What matter is that you breathe deeply and you listen to the music, and we try to be all connected with our heart through this meditation. Thank you, everyone, for this meditation all together. Thank you, Mohsen, and thank you so much, Françoise, for this beautiful voice. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Thanks to Rana and Mohsen and Françoise for that beautiful, beautiful meditation. As many have said today, spirituality isn't just in our minds and in our hearts, but it's in our bodies. So thank you for getting us up and into our bodies. Well, this brings our program today to a conclusion. We want to thank all of our guests today. We'd like to especially thank our friends from the Graduate Theological Union and our international gallery of musical guests. We also like to thank the Episcopal Church Office of Communication for their support of our podcast and live events, and also to the Cathedral of St. John the Divine and the Congregation of St. Savior for encouraging and promoting this event.
And thank you to everyone for watching this. To learn more about Radical Love Live, to find this archive of this event when we post it, or any of our other programs, or even to find ways to support what we're doing here at Radical Love Live, visit our website at www.radicallove.live. And stay tuned for our next Radical Love Live event coming up on May 31st about interspirituality and coexistence, which is also in partnership with the GTU. Last, I'd like to leave this thought with you. Please take a moment each day to pause our chattering mind and feel what's inside our hearts, seeking to comprehend that we are all spiritual beings having human experiences who are all into this together. Peace, joy, and blessings to all. We'll see you next month.